I feel like Pen15 is very often referred to as a like cringe comedy. Like I feel like I see that you know, that descriptor used a lot when I sort of always feel like it's a very honest show. And I feel like, I mean, cringe comedy is not a bad term. I just feel like, maybe just everyone is awkward. So I was wondering if um, what you sort of feel of that classification.
Well, you know, after the first season came out, I heard that phrase cringe comedy and
Mhm.
never heard that
Me
before. I
either. Yeah.
never like imagined there's never any sort of intention like press the cringe button in the edit
Yeah.
bay. know. Um, and I guess exactly kind of how you started talking about it, I guess truth and honesty is
Mhm.
cringeworthy. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, the entire, what we try to do is just find the truth in every single moment.
Hmm.
And especially at that age, yeah, it's awkward because you're stumbling and falling on your face and
Yeah.
trying on different things um, and learning.
Hmm.
Still have, I still have those moments in life. I guess we get better at covering that. But yeah,
Yeah.
I love like in the three of us, we love watching something like that unfold in real time and not, and just letting it breathe and really living in
Yeah.
that, I guess, cringe.
Yeah. That sort of like there's so much tension in the show. It's sort of like you take the tension out of like a big thriller and you put it against like the words of a comedy, and it's sort of this like like it's sort of unlike anything I've really ever seen. It's sort of just like waiting for someone to talk again, or keep the conversation going, is really sort of magical in its torture of its audience, which I really love. I One of my favorite things about season two is how much it explores the relationship between the two girls' mothers. I think that's a really beautiful, really I think it's also a really important thing. So I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit about what you spoke with Maya and Anna about really bringing this to the focus, because I watched some of the episodes again in the last couple of days, and like the shopping scene is brutal. The scene with Anna's mom in the restaurant in the final episode is really really special. So talk to me a little bit about that.
Well, there's kind of a lot going on there. I mean, on one hand,
Yeah.
we have Maya who's acting against her actual mom in real life,
Yeah.
almost reliving moments from their life and kind of almost having to me, when I step back sometimes, it almost feels like some sort of reconciliation or gesture from Maya saying like, I see you and the love you gave and the methods you used and that meant something to me. Like there's a bathtub scene that they're both in, and
Yeah.
which that scene was just exhilarating to watch unfold between them. It's almost like having saying thank you or
Yeah.
for my upbringing. It's
Hmm.
like it's about to make me cry just thinking about it. And Anna too with and I just love um Melora, the actor who
I love
played
her.
the
I love
mom,
her so much.
and the two of them and really and Anna with both of her parents are some of my favorite scenes, hands down. The amount of digging for honesty and vulnerability. I mean, yeah, that last scene in the restaurant, I mean, gosh, brutal. Like, just I really tried to make that such a sacred moment on set because I just knew that those two were gonna bring it. There wasn't really a
Yeah.
rehearsal. There was
Hmm.
just kind of like, we know this is going to be magic because you two are so wonderful and what you're
Yeah.
going after. And you know, mothers and daughters have such a complex relationship. It's so interesting to me. Um, and the shopping scene is wild. Like I obviously was never a girl, but it is, those moments are tense, you know, like where you're so worried about fitting in and having the right clothes, and like
Yeah.
your parents don't understand, and Maya getting spanked. I mean, it's just, it resonated with me very personally too. But I think that those moments are really, the family stuff, I think, is a real heartbeat of the show.
Yeah.
The kids is obviously so funny, especially when they're, you know, hitting on boys or having crushes on children.
Yeah.
It's so funny. But I think there's a real beating heart with the parents and the moms especially, and it was so thrilling to be able to be sort of a witness to that playing out. I mean,
Yeah.
and having this perspective, you know.
And there's actually a line that I had forgotten about where um I think Anna's mother says it to Maya's mom about like when they're on the phone. I was like, I think we need like a shopping trip. And I think Maya's mom says something like, you know, we don't need anything right now, but she still goes on the shopping trip. So I also sort of like how that one line even strengthens the bond between the two mothers, as you know, they know that they're going through the same thing with their daughters and they're there for each other. I thought that was actually a really lovely thing. Um, Something that I also had forgotten about when I was rewatching it was the character of Mora, and I had forgotten what a reaction that got. I think I read like a BuzzFeed article saying that Mora is like the perfect villain for 2020 or something like that. And I was like, she's a child, so I don't know if you should really be saying that. Um, and that, you know, introduces a completely new dynamic in the episode I think called Three, and then it's just so good. So uh, what did you guys want to talk about there? Because I feel like that is something that we may see in other shows before, but it's done in a completely unique way in this.
Well, Mora is a really interesting character, and I feel like everyone knows someone who like kind of needs to be the puppet master of a relationship and power dynamics, but you kind of
Yeah,
don't see that very first because she stands up for the girls. And I found it an interesting, at first, interesting, like, what if these two best friends who we gotten to know, what if we added a third and that becomes the show almost, and to really
yeah,
set up how you know, how important this person is in their life and how they're going to shape and influence and our main characters. And then we sort of slowly unfold these little, like when she calls her mom like a fucking bitch. I mean, it's just so shocking.
yeah,
And I think that was actually a true story from Maya's childhood, uh, that she had a friend like that. And it's just
yeah,
so, the first time you hear that, you know, now, yeah, as adults we can kind of understand that, but as a kid, to hear someone call their mother that is totally wild. But we also we're very careful not to make, you know, there isn't villains in our world. I think the three of us, we're just sort of, we want to give everyone sort of a touch of grace. They can be antagonists, and they can
mm,
be kind of, we might need to set boundaries, but we care about even Mora, you know, even if she's not right for them or if she's got problems.
yeah. The sort of you know, I'm very interested in Mora's relationship with her mother. There's obviously something very, you know, the her mother is very, you know, pleasing to her. There's something um, like that scene where Mora's trying to get into the car And Melora is just like, all right, you need to get out. You know that she just wants to peel away and just leave that girl there. But
Yeah.
I sort of feel like every teenager has had that, you know, moment with their mom or their parent where they're just like, you are acting a certain way and I don't know how you got this way. You're not like the kid that I raised or something like that. That's sort of like, you know, teenagers pulling away from their parents and having friends thing that is so painful and sad a lot of the times. Um,
Yeah, and painful for the parents because they're like, well, they're changing and they've got all these influences that we
yeah.
can't control at all. And now we're going to say the C word in the car. Where does this come from? And who is my daughter? And like, how do I
Mhm.
tell them to watch out for this friend? You know,
Yeah.
it's really messy and they have to learn that too, just like the girls have to learn things.
Yeah. I think I had a teacher in high school when I distinctly remember seventh grade. He told us it was like some like health class or something. I don't know why he was talking about it, but he said something along the lines of, there is going to be a moment where you tell your parents that you want to hang out with your friends and you don't want to hang out with your parents. And that is going to make your mom and your dad very sad. And I remember that for my entire life. And I feel like it's sort of been haunting me since I was 13.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine just how ruthless you are as a middle schooler, how like cold-blooded you are, and like able to share like forget you. And yeah, we took baths together just the other day, with my
Yeah.
mom, but now it's like forget it. I've moved on from you. Deal with it.
Yeah. Something that is very important, and this will be the last question before I talk to you about the finale, which I'm dying to talk to you about. I think the start of Gabe's journey was a surprise to a lot of people. And there's something about the internal way that he is interpreting things felt incredibly real, and it felt very important. And I was sort of wondering how you direct Dylan to do that, because he's so funny, and he's so like, sometimes when he has like this hurt look on his face, you just want to like go over and hug him. But I wanted to know how you balance the delicacy of the situation with an actor that is so young.
Well, um, yeah. Dylan is like a genius, okay? Because what's crazy, it's like he's so funny. Like he can be, he's almost like Maya and Anna, where they can be so funny,
Mhm.
and yet it's almost like we're turning down that externalized humor that is such a gift for him, and now asking him to sort of internalize this struggle of his
Mhm.
sexuality. And I find it really stunning. I mean, when we first told him that, okay, his character is based on one of our writers and producers, Gabe. We sort of all named the characters
Yeah.
after ourselves. And Gabe was like an angry, closeted gay kid at that age. And he told Dylan, he's like, so you're sort of playing me, and I'm going through this. And Dylan was just like, cool, let's do it.
Like, all right.
I was like blown away. I'm like, I don't think I would be so like that at that age. But I guess
Yeah.
the kids are more hip and progressive than we were, and Dylan is fearless, and he is responsible for
Yeah.
that performance. I mean, there was nothing that I did, you know. That's all coming from him. He's very gifted and very very it is brave because like who knows who's going to make fun of him for being on the show that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Luckily I haven't picked up any whiff of that. Probably because
That's
he's
good.
so awesome and
Yeah.
talented, and because hopefully we're living in a better time than like when the show it takes
Yeah.
place.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's really important, and we had lots of input from people who went through that, and
Hmm.
you listen and you try to do justice and give him the same grace as we give a serious scene between Maya having her period and hiding it, or any other
Yeah.
journey, being called the ugliest person, and really truly honoring that experience,
Okay.
making it true.
All right. So I want to talk about the finale because I was a theater kid. I feel like I feel like that was the most. Honestly, it literally felt like the wall. Like, you know that scene, that shot in Jaws where he's sitting on the beach and the camera just that's what it sort of felt like when I was watching it. I was like, this is like the even the the battle between the people on stage versus the techies. I wanted to know what it was like to write a sort of 13-year-old Virginia Woolf. Um, and the dance, my God, I've talked to a couple of people who have echoed that it is like the most joyous, cathartic
Oh.
thing, and it's also just incredibly funny. Um, were you a techie when you were in high school?
No.
No.
So the um, I auditioned for the school play in seventh grade,
Okay.
and everyone who auditioned got a part except for yours truly. So I don't know why they could have had me stand there as a tree,
Right.
but for whatever reason, I think so. That was the end of my theater career completely. So all the credit for the truth and specificity comes from Anna and Maya, who were deeply, and all my friends. And then there's a little bit of like just what's it like to be, you know, in filmmaking, and the process of like director versus actor, and the crew versus the cast.
Mhm.
Um, but that was a blast. That was such a blast. And I also need to point out that the like whack Virginia Woolf play, that was actually written by Maya.
Oh yeah.
And
Okay.
I found it so funny. I keep wanting her to write the full thing, like a
Yeah.
full play. I just found it so absurd and genius. So she wrote that play, and then yeah, for the school, for the dance, like the dream ballet, I think we call it. I just kind of am always searching for like what's a different way of showing the story,
Hmm.
and there was a version where it's like Maya gets the line, Anna saves her, and then the play's going well, the audience is happy, the techies are happy. Well, I sort of was like, well, what about this play behind the play? What if I
Yeah.
turned their experience into this opera? And it's kind of like the strangeness that we have in Pen15 sometimes.
Hmm.
And yes, and sort of revisiting some of the characters and their experience and what they're going through. I like to do things visual, and I'm into beauty and
Yeah.
dance. And so we had some choreographers, our friends, Thomas and Kate from New York, and they're incredible dancers and choreographers, and they worked with everyone and the kids, and doing their strange interpretive dance. But exactly, I wanted it to feel like this very bizarre, cathartic, funny, touching. I wanted it to be the entire universe of our show
Yeah.
in that moment, and it was really wonderful to film in the spotlights. And I'm always copying West Side Story, and
Yeah.
so there's a little bit of West Side Story in sort of everything.
Yeah.
The spotlights, kind of some of the magical expressionistic stuff.
Hmm.
I always find myself going back to, and that was an opportunity to do that. So it was, and people were like, "What are you talking about? Like, what is this thing? What are you going to do?" I had no idea, and I was just like, "Just wait and see. It'll be cool."
I'm glad that there's some West Side Story in there because that's like one of my favorite musicals ever. So uh,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
and even like what does the kid describe the glitter as later? It's Cameron-esque, and I was like, oh, it's sort of like uh, if James Cameron meets West Side Story, Virginia Woolf fever dream. I love it.
So that's like the techie interpretation, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I adore that. That's amazing. And I just have to say, before I leave that episode, it was sort of like, you can tell there's something special going on when you have that moment in the car at the very, very end of the episode. And then you have Maya yelling the line, "I'll stick an ice pick up your butthole." It's the fact that you can have those two things living in the same episode, I think, is actually very special. I guess one last question before I let you go is, I was wondering if you would welcome Nazim Pedrad's Chad into do like a Pen15 crossover.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Does that take place? I haven't seen it.
It doesn't take place at the, it does not, no, it doesn't take place at the same time. It's, yeah, hers is now.
They did, Anna and Maya, I know, showed up in Big Mouth.
Yeah.
So I don't see why there's not some whole big middle school. Sometimes, you know, when you'd like meet kids from another school, like in your town, like a town away or something, you know, in middle school, like that was always a big deal. Maybe that's our way in. It's like we in this like some time travel. Yeah, she almost kind of looked like, she almost got the haircut of Maya too. And
yeah.
I've seen images.
Do a whole episode bonding over hair and bad haircut.
Yes, I would love to. I love that bowl cut so much.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, thank you, Sam, so much for taking the time to talk to me. I'm just
back at you, man.
Yeah, I'm just in love with the show. I think it's very special. So thank you so much.
Right. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, have a good one.